this may sound like I'm trying to be conceited or be something. I don't know what people would think I'm trying to sound like, but it's just being matter of fact about it. Is that the reason there is only one thing anyway, but the only human being, who has ever seen, felt, been God is me. And the reason is because when I found God, I wasn't looking for myself. I wasn't looking for Dan. I was looking for, what are we all doing here then? Tell me what you want me to do. If I'm not doing as good as I possibly can, then tell me what I'm doing wrong. Other people may not agree that I'm doing the best I possibly can. Other people may think that they're doing the best they possibly can. But I bet you they have something in it for them. They want to get something for themselves out of it. All I wanted to do when I said that, when I felt that feeling was, I don't care if I die. Either let me die, take me, or tell me what the hell I'm doing here. And it was so heartfelt that it showed me. God showed me. Literally. Had nothing to do with me. Dan Alexander had nothing to do with me. It had to do with my spirit. It doesn't have the name. So that's why people be like, well, sure, Dan's not that great of a guy. Dan's sort of, I remember when he was like da-da-da-da. And that's not me at all. Like, I can think back and remember past lives just as easy as I can think back and remember my life. And sometimes I have to do math on my own life to remember where I was. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's where I was. And it's right, but the funniest thing is, like, I'm just another name and statistic to myself. I'm like, Dan Alexander to me is like Willie Mays. Same thing. Nothing different. Not one thing. No color difference, no age difference, no generation difference, no gaps, no nothing. It's all just words and sounds, and it's all playing to me right now, and I see it everywhere. All I have to do is pay attention to it, and I know the whole thing, because once you know all the secrets and the codes in the game, or in, like, I'm giving a comparison to a video game. But once you know, like, say you were playing a video game, once you know all the secret codes and all the things that could happen, don't happen, if you don't go there and you do this, and if you don't do this thing, that thing's going to fall. You got to do this first. Like, that kind of thing, I already done it before. Doesn't mean that I want to make other people do anything first. All I can do is be honest with them so that we can actually heal ourselves, not having someone come in and be the hero. Like, in a way, people could say I'm being the hero, but I'm not doing it for Dan to be a hero. I'm doing it because that's what Dan's name is spelled out to do. And that's the character I'm supposed to play. And what's weird is I really am that character. I love God. And I don't think there's anything else. So it's not like when I say I love God and I love everyone and I love everything, like, there's only one thing. I just have to say it. So the people, if I just walked around and said God, 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 people would be like, what? And they'd think, And I've done that before. As other spiritual masters, I've sat and I've chanted God all day. I've sat and I've whatever. And I understood it then. But then I still thought I was coming from me. And I thought I was saying God. And I thought that my person, was communicating with God. And what was the difference is, now I don't think my person, is communicating with God. I know that God is my person, and everybody else. And never has been anything different. Ever. And can't be anything different. It is everything. When you did start it all, like, nothing can be different. And not like family relation, like, I know that my son's mine because I had him and I was there. Or like, even to a woman who's like, the baby came out of me. But it's not even your baby. It's God's. And it's your God. And you belong to God as well. Like, and that's the one that I know, and that's the one that I come from. So even my own life is just a review. It's like, which one am I doing this time? Which one do you want to do? How do you want to change it this time? What do you want to do? Because if you want to know the future, you can know it step by step. Or you've done that before. Do you want to do that again? And I say, no, I don't want to do that again. So then I fight that off. I fight off getting things Dan's way, because Dan is just as important to me as, Stephen Cobblestone or Jacques Levier, like any kind of name. What's weird is I know that as soon as I talk about someone and focus on them, I create them out of time, and they'll seem to be older than me. And I'll be like, I remember talking about you. This is weird. How do I tell this person? And if I started talking to them and telling them, they'd think I was just a nut. But then they'd hear things that make complete sense about their life, and they'd be like, whoa, how the hell? And I don't like that feeling. Like, I make people freak out when I do it. When I did it by accident and I didn't know how I was doing it, I wasn't as freaked out, so I didn't seem as freaked out. So they're just like, whoa, you're weird. And I was just okay with that. But I knew something was different about it. I'm like, I'm tuning into that. And like, it was before I had really had that experience, like, I don't know, even like a couple months before then, just weird things started happening, and I was feeling weird things were going to happen. And that's why it was more like I got into this super angry mode where I was just like, I don't even care anymore. I don't want to live. I care so much that I can't care about this dumb stuff. And then something happened. Like, my brain just went, and it's like, don't you remember everything? And it was just, it all just flew right into my brain at one moment. It's the most miraculous thing. Not that I say that ever could happen. It's just the most miraculous thing. It's all there ever has been. It's the most miraculous thing. And it's me. And it's I. And it's everyone who's ever been here, but they don't take it from, they still think that they're the game piece. They still think that they're a bunch of skin and bones. They still think that. And to me, that's funny. And to other people, they'd be like, well, of course I'm a bunch of skin and bones, dummy. Don't say stuff like that. That's weird. And I'd say, I can't even think like that. So therefore, I know that even saying I'm a big bag of skin and bones is just a silly joke, and it's funny to even think that way. I think that's silly. I think an adult who says that is such a child who has no clue. I think a kid would understand better that, you know, that there's something inside you living, and it's not your skin. There's something living inside your skin, too, and that's not you. You're just in the whole thing, like clothing, but differently. So when we think about aliens, we are the aliens to ourselves. How many people actually know their human body? When you don't know something, aren't you alien to it? Don't you realize that your spirit inside your body is alien? So everyone who says, like, I'm an alien. Yeah, they are. And so are you. And God is all of them too. And God has been in so many bodies. You've been in so many bodies. So many bodies. And not just the one you're in right now that changed and adapted. That's just this piece that you're playing in time. When you get out of that mind, you'll understand what I mean. And you'll feel it so massively that everything you've ever done, no matter how major it was, won't compare. Ayahuasca, which people say that about, wouldn't even begin to compare. Not one little bit. Not one. I know, because I'm ayahuasca, and I've never done it, but I've done it every time. And I've actually felt it in Dan's body from other people doing it when they do it. If he focuses on doing it as one of them. In the game, you can do it anytime you want. It's in your head. Unless you're empty, you're de-empty. You're de-emptied. Now you're full of something. You're full of life. All they're doing when they do it is they're tricking themselves that they're smoking something that's full of life. It comes from the brain when people die, so therefore it must be something that when you smoke it, you live. It's just a thought they have in their head. It's a thought form, and the thought form has become so strong, people give it a visual thing. You can boil down grass. You can boil down the most common grass in the backyard, and it supposedly has DMT in it. Of course it does. Where do you think the cows get the DMT that you would eat? They eat the grass. So what you're thinking is that the milk and the butter and the cheese and the meat and that stuff's going to be all this great stuff for you. No, you actually want the grass. It's our gas. It's G, raw, source on source. It's something that you should be eating. It generates raw light. That's what it means. Grass means like gas. It's generating raw, let's say auto, because who you are. Source on source, like SS. That's what grass means. I've never told anybody because I figured they would figure it out by now since all the talks I've talked about with the letters in the alphabet, but nobody's taking it seriously and there's no one watching it. And that's fine, but I only feel a little, I don't know, cautious for anyone who considers themselves as them, you know? I'm very concerned for them in love. Not in a way like, oh no. I'm like, man, that stinks for them. And I don't want to see them do it. I don't want to watch it. It's like, to me, it's just the same thing as a TV show on TV, except it's playing out in front of me in my life. And if I want to stick around it and watch what's going to happen, I already know what's going to happen if I keep watching it to the detail. But I don't want to tell them that because they won't listen anyway. It's a weird dilemma to be stuck in. And it's the greatest one ever. Other people will get in it, and as more people get in it, we won't have it as much because people will be like, oh, duh, what the hell were we doing? We were silly. And it wouldn't even be a big deal. In a couple of years, everything could be so passed over, and people are like, wow, it would be the real Passover at that point. So, anyway, I love you guys, and until next time, God bless you.